welcome to a new season of Making Life Art. This is going to be such an incredible season, and I just want to say, first of all, thank you so much to everyone who has supported me on this journey, anyone who's been listening. I appreciate you. I cannot even tell you how much it means to me to have people listen to what I have to say. It truly means the world. So thank you for anyone who's listening, and I'm just excited to see where we go with this next season. Now, I'm podcasting from bed, so I don't know how the audio is going to be. Hopefully perfectly fine, but sometimes I move the microphone around too much, so I apologize in advance. If you want to watch the video format of this podcast, I am filming a YouTube video. Hello, YouTube video. So feel free to follow me on YouTube. I'm at kalliedwardshair on YouTube and on Instagram. So if you want to find me, just look for kalliedwardshair, and then you can see the video of the podcast. Oops. Just knocked things over. It's fine. If you're new to the podcast, hello. This is Making Life Art. It's a podcast all about how to learn how to fall deeply in love with your life, because as you probably know, adulthood has a lot of ups and downs, specifically when you're in your 20s. I mean, not that you don't have more or less ups and downs than other parts of your life, but the 20s is just a weird time in life. It's just a very transitional and odd moment in time. So I'm 26, so that's kind of the perspective that I'm coming from. But I really hope you enjoy. And if you're new, go ahead and follow the show, and then you can be updated when I post new episodes. I post every other week. We had a 2-week break because of the new season, and now I am back. I wasn't sure if I was going to film this episode or if I was going to record this episode for the new season, because I recorded an episode with my sibling, and I was thinking originally that that might be the season premiere, but I felt like the season premiere should be a solo episode. I really wanted to kind of go over what this new season is going to look like and what it's going to be about. So it's going to be, the theme is going to be Feed Your Soul. And I'll get into that a little bit more in a little bit. But for now, we are going to do what is called a mindful moment. So what you're going to do is you're going to pause the podcast and take some time to yourself with whatever it is that you need to do today to feel grounded and feel prepared for today's episode. I already did a mindful moment because I have been really focusing on mindfulness all day today, because it is the first of the month. It's October 1st. That's another reason why I decided to do this episode today, because I feel like the first of the month has such an energy of renewal, and I thought it would be the perfect way to start out a new season for the podcast. So yeah, but go ahead and pause the podcast here, have your mindful moment. I will just continue on because I've already had mine, but I will give you time to pause the podcast. Sorry about the loud noises. I didn't want to hold the microphone anymore because my wrists have been really, really bugging me. I have a wrist injury in both wrists. Lovely. So holding things and holding things up for a period of time is really hard on my wrists. So I've been able to kind of give myself a little bit of support with my leg. You can see on video. Hopefully it doesn't look super awkward. But yeah, let's get into it a little bit more. So feed your soul, what that means to me. I felt like Feed Your Soul was such a beautiful concept. I came up with it because I actually was trying to think of a name for a Pinterest board that focused on spirituality and mindfulness and feeling mentally better. And so I wanted to create a Pinterest board for that. And I did, and I thought that the perfect title for it was Feed Your Soul. So that's why that's going to be this season's theme. Sorry about moving the microphone around again. I am still just getting a little bit situated, which is kind of uncomfortable because of my wrists. So it takes a minute for me to get situated. Sorry about that. But it's October 1st. It's the perfect time to do a new episode, to do a new season. And I have really been wanting to dive into my witchy side, especially with October coming up. I mean, I know that that's kind of silly. Witches don't always mean Halloween. I don't necessarily mean that. But I just feel like the shedding of leaves is more what I mean. And stepping into a new era, letting go of the old, entering the new, that's just been a theme of my life recently. So I thought it would be perfect to do a new season around that theme. And I know it seems weird to do a new season when it's not a new year, but it is a new season. So season, you know, it's a new season of the podcast and a new season. It's fall. And all the leaves are falling. It's time to shed the old and step into a new era. And this era is going to be Feed Your Soul. So I want to get into more witchcraft. I'm a baby witch. So basically I dabble a little bit, but I haven't really gotten into it seriously. I kind of take on spiritual beliefs as they make sense to me. So I take on some beliefs that I've gotten from Buddhism, from Hinduism, from witchcraft. There are certain things that I feel resonate with me, and I take on what I feel resonates, obviously in a respectful way. I want to be respectful of other cultures and respectful of other belief systems as well. But there's so much valuable information across so many different cultures and so many different religions and so many different belief systems. And witchcraft is something that has really resonated with me. So I've been really wanting to dabble into it a little bit more. I've been reading. I got my first tarot card deck, and I read a friend of mine's oracle cards. It was the first time I've ever read cards for another person. So I've been having a lot of fun with it. So Feed Your Soul is going to have more to do with spirituality and feeding our soul in that regard. But if you're not a spiritual girly, or you're not someone who really likes to take on anything that has to do with a belief system, if you're someone who's just like, no, not very spiritual, I still want to feed my soul though, then there is something for you as well. Don't feel like you have to stop listening just because you don't believe the same things that I do, or you don't like the same things that I do, because I think that there's something so valuable from everyone that we interact with. So I would encourage you to still listen, even if you are someone who doesn't really vibe with witchcraft or doesn't vibe with spirituality, then that's perfectly fine. I'm also a psychology major, so that's also going to have a lot to do with this new season. I'm really going to take on a lot of topics that have to do with spirituality and or psychology. So I think feeding your soul, yes, can be a very spiritual concept, but I also think it can be a very psychological concept. I care a lot about mental health and mental well-being. So we're going to talk about ways to feed your soul in that regard as well, and physical ways to feed your soul, because I believe in as above, so below. So what you practice on the outside reflects on the inside, and what you practice on the inside reflects on the outside. My cat has come to join the party. Do you want to come over here? Do you want to sit with me? You can come sit. Just don't step on my laptop. And don't step on the microphone cord. My cat's name is Hex, so it's perfect for Halloween, perfect for October. She is the cutest ever, and she always wants to be involved with everything I'm doing all the time, even if it means stepping all over my laptop. But feeding your soul is about all of that. I guess that summarizes it. And I just wanted to do kind of an introduction with that. So I want to kind of talk about my goals for October and how to step into the highest version of myself. So I think that's the direction I want to take this episode. Is I feel like feeding your soul has a lot to do with embodying your higher self. And I think that when we embody our higher selves, we really learn how to feed our souls. And that's something that I really have thought about a lot today. I basically woke up today, hadn't been feeling so great the past few days. Not physically, but just, well, physically as far as my wrists go. But I mean I wasn't like sick. Just my wrists have been in a lot of pain. But I have just been really down on myself about that and about a lot of other things going on in my life and just down in general and feeling just kind of like numb and feeling not in my life, just like an outsider or an observer of my life, and just feeling like that was how I could cope with some of these things, is just by being an observer. But then even with the disassociation and even with the just observing my life and standing back, I feel like I still was getting the intrusive thoughts and still was getting some not so great messages about myself coming from myself. And today I was just like, how do I get out of this? How do I get out of this pattern? Because as much as I think it's important to sit with things and let emotions run through you, I also don't want to be stuck in moping and stuck in this molasses of depression forever. And I feel that there is a way to get out of these emotions, and sometimes it doesn't feel like there is, and sometimes you do have to sit with those hard emotions. Sometimes you're just depressed, and sometimes you have to be depressed for a little bit and just lean into it and say, okay, this is how I feel and I'm going to honor that, and that's the way it is. But you also have to have an end period for those feelings. Like yesterday I thought, it's okay for me to have a day like this, but it's even okay for me to have a few days like this. Sometimes I have weeks like this, but they need to have an end date, and I need to have tools to get myself out of these depressive episodes, and I need to be able to function in my life, and I need to be able to make money. I need to eat, I need to live, I need to pay rent. So I can't let these emotions usurp my whole existence and my whole being, and I can't let them control me. So today I thought, how can I get out of this? How can I get out of this pattern and not let these emotions control me that I'm feeling right now? And I meditated. I did a witchy little spell. I had a therapy appointment, and I vision boarded for the month of October. I'm still not quite done vision boarding. I vision board for every month. I feel like it really helps me stay motivated and understand my goals for the next month. I went through and wrote down my specific goals for the next month, what I want October to feel like, what I want it to look like. And then I hadn't done this in a long time, but I really felt like it was time for me to reevaluate and reinvent her. And when I say her, I mean my higher self. I just feel like her resonates for some reason. I love just like words are hard. What am I trying to say? I love visualizing who I want to be and who I think of as the highest version of myself, the best version of myself, who I want to be, who I want to create. Because we are our own main characters, and it's so easy to invent yourself. People always think it's so hard, but sometimes I think life is just a big video game, and we can choose our characters. And yes, you can't choose the physical body that you are born with, but you can choose how you want to present yourself and the life you want to create for yourself. And we have so much more control than we realize, but it is hard to recognize that. And things like mental illness definitely get in the way of that. Oh, excuse me. Sorry, that was gross. And things like physical ailments get in the way of that as well. I mean, even just holding this microphone, even though I have it in the most delicate position ever, and I feel like it should not be hard on my wrists, I can't figure out how to have it not cause my wrist pain. But it's something that I have to accept right now. But it does get in the way. Things like this get in the way. Things like this make it difficult to not want to give up. There are days when I just feel like I want out. I want out. I don't like this. I don't like the adulthood thing. I didn't like the childhood thing much either, to be honest. Pros and cons to both, for sure. But I just feel like I'm always struggling. But then when I'm on a really high, and when I'm just feeling so good about my life and so aligned, then I really want to be in it. And I'm so grateful for everything and grateful for all the experiences I have. And it's so intense to get these highs and these lows that are just so extreme to me sometimes, that when I'm in a low, it's hard to remember what it felt like to be in a high. And it's hard to remember, no, I don't want out. I enjoy my life. I enjoy the experiences that I have in my life, and I'm grateful for them. But when I'm in a low, I just can't even remember what it feels like to be in a high. I just know I don't want to feel the way I do anymore. You know what I mean? So today I was in that low and I somehow switched it to a high. I'm still feeling a little, what would the word be? Muddly? Is muddly a word? Muggy? No, that's not the word. Foggy? Maybe foggy would be the best word. I still feel a little like foggy and slow. I guess like a little bit like a rain cloud, you know, is over my head. I feel like I've got the rain to stop, but the rain cloud is still over my head. A funny analogy, since I actually do love the rain, but you know what I mean. It's a metaphor. So I do feel it a little bit, but I was able to switch out of it, and I really sometimes am able to do that. And then there's other days where I'm just not. There's other days where I try everything. I'm meditating. I'm cleaning my space. I'm letting myself feel it for a while, and then it's just not ending. Or I try to change my environment and go outside, and I'm just not feeling better. And sometimes it be that way. Sometimes it just be that way. But other times it's not that way. And I think it's important to have tools to get us out of those situations. Even if they don't always work, sometimes they do. And what works for me might not work for you. If you've been listening to the podcast for a long time, you know I say that constantly, because we're all different, we're all unique, and we're all unique humans with our own human experiences. So I just share my experiences and hope that they resonate with someone listening. I just needed that fresh breath. Trying to remember to pause, to breathe, because sometimes I just go fast, so fast, and then my brain and my mouth just are not on the same page. So I'm trying to normalize for myself pausing when I don't know what to say or I can't think of the next words, just pausing and taking a breath rather than rambling on. I need to slow down. And life moves really fast, but maybe it's only moving so fast because I'm moving so fast. I think what I want to talk about now is what I've written down for my higher self, because I really felt like this month I really needed a big shift. I felt like I really needed a big transformation. I feel like I've been really low on my confidence. I feel like my creative energy has been a bit stuck. I feel like there's things I'm not doing that I should be. I feel like I'm trying to think of a good analogy for this. It's just that like something is stuck. It just feels like I've made a lot of progress, and I've really tried really hard to move into a new perspective and new mindset, but there's something that's holding me back and keeping me a bit stuck. So I felt like it was time to journal and reinvent myself and reevaluate who I want her to be. What do I see when I visualize her? The version of my higher self, the version of me that I feel is the best version of me. Because we're all going to have different versions of what we think is the best version of ourselves. So this is mine, and I encourage you to make your own list and decide what you want to be the highest version of yourself. So think about it hard, and write down a list, and I'll share mine so you can kind of get started. I don't know if I'm going to share all of it. There might be some things that I want to keep a little bit more private. And that's actually another aspect of what I want her to look like. I feel like sometimes I overshare, sometimes I don't share enough, and I feel like I'm oversharing the things I shouldn't, and I don't always share the things I should. My camera died, so I had to get a new battery. Sorry about that. But I went and got the new battery. We're all good. And I readjusted a little bit so that the shot is closer. So that's good. So check me out on YouTube if you want to see the visual format of this. But anyway, I think I was just about to go through my list, though, of what I've written down for her. One thing is dark feminine energy. Now, I don't know if you've heard of this concept before, but I've been feeling like I really need to live in my feminine for a long time. And basically what that means to me is there's a masculine energy and there's a feminine energy, right? And masculine energy, to me, feels more commanding, more grounding, secure, structured. I feel like I'm in my masculine often when I work, and I feel like I have to be in my masculine when I work sometimes. But I really thrive when I'm in my feminine, and I would like to bring more of that into my work as well. But feminine to me feels more playful, more energetic, like dancing, more wild, wind, air. But I think dark feminine energy, now that's more like fire, in my opinion. I feel like a concept like this, everyone can have a different perspective on. I don't necessarily think there's one right answer, but that's how I view feminine and masculine energy. And when I kept feeling called to be more in my feminine, I would understand that concept and want to be soft, but then now I'm at a point in my life where I feel like I need to be a little bit hard, and I need to have strong boundaries, and I need to live in my feminine, but also I was having a hard time understanding that I could be in my feminine, but also be confident, because I view confidence as such a masculine concept, I guess. And I don't know why, but maybe because it's more grounding. So when I think of confidence, I think of being grounded, and then I think of masculine energy, that type of thing. But I was feeling like I need to live in my feminine, but I also need to embrace this really fiery, passionate part of myself. And I need to be really firm with certain things. And I need to be a badass girl boss, honestly. And I was like, how do I live in my feminine and still do that? Because I was struggling, because I thought, isn't that the masculine? So then came the dark feminine energy. And it's this side of feminine energy that's more feminine rage, passion, sexual, sensuality. Sensuality is the word I was looking for. Mystique. That energy is what I wanted to embody. So when I think of her, I think of dark feminine energy. She has strong, clear boundaries, but she's gentle and soft. She is compassionate, but she doesn't let people walk all over her. She is graceful. She is poised. But she accepts that she's human and she is not perfect. She trusts herself. She's sure of herself. She walks like she knows it too. She has many mysteries. You look at her and you wonder what her story is. She just emanates mystique. But she's also very relatable and easy to talk to. She's an amazing listener. She is intentional. She doesn't half-ass anything. Well, maybe a few things. But she's very intentional about everything she does. So even if she is going to half-ass something, she's intentional about it. She knows who she is and what she wants to create. She has a quiet confidence. She speaks her mind when she knows it's the right thing to do, but she remains silent when she can sense that that's the correct response to the certain situations. She doesn't react just to react. She knows that some situations and some scenarios do not require a reaction, or a reaction could make them worse. She is an old soul. She has lived many lives, some of them even within one lifetime. I have been a theater kid. I've been a singer. I have been an actress. I guess that's the same thing as theater kid. I've been a fairy godmother, a hairstylist. I'm going to be a therapist someday, ideally, if all things go well. I'm not necessarily tied to that, but I feel like that's where I'm going to take my psychology degree. I know I want to do something with psychology for sure. But she's lived many lifetimes within this one lifetime, and I like to believe in reincarnation. I do think we've lived many lives, and so I think I specifically have led many lives. And I think people can sense that about me, but I really don't think I know that much about it myself. So I want to embrace that idea and embrace the idea that I am an old soul. She is a proud dreamer. She dreams big, but she's not ashamed of it. But she doesn't always share her big dreams because some of them are more sacred. And she likes to keep people guessing. She pauses when she speaks, just like we kind of talked about earlier. She slows down to breathe. She is rich, but I don't mean in money. Well, maybe in money too, eventually. But I don't even really think I necessarily want to be rich. I want to be wealthy. But I want to be rich in love, rich in connections, rich in spiritual knowledge. I feel like the word rich can mean more than just money. So she is rich in all areas of her life, because rich to her doesn't necessarily mean that she's a millionaire. Rich means that she is successful and a hard worker, and she has been able to reap the fruits of her labors. And it is good and it is sweet, and she is abundant. She has enough money to help out family members if they need it, or friends if they need it, or just because she wants to. She's able to buy gifts for people that she wants to, whenever she wants to. She has enough to live comfortably, but not so much that she doesn't know what to do with it all. As far as money goes, at least. She coexists with her shadow, but always leads. Whereas right now, I feel like I let my shadow take the reins sometimes. She is impactful. People around her can sense that she makes an impact. She commands a room by not saying a word, just by her presence alone. Her aura is expansive. She is observant. She notices the little things and remembers them. She chooses joy, even if sometimes it's hard to do so. When I say that, I do not mean toxic positivity. There are times when you do not want to choose joy. You need to let yourself choose sadness, but when possible, she chooses joy. She doesn't participate in gossip. She avoids petty drama. She has healthy boundaries. She is patient. That's one that I'm working on quite a bit. She sees obstacles as lessons and utilizes them to propel herself forward. She is never afraid to reinvent herself. I cannot even read my own writing here. Oh, there it is. Okay. She practices duality. She has beautiful eating habits. I couldn't think of the right word with eating habits because I didn't want to say she eats healthy all the time because I believe in balance and I still want me some Takis sometimes, okay? I need to have my Takis occasionally, but I sometimes eat them too much and I would like to have, I've been talking about this on the podcast forever, so you're probably like, girl, come on, you still haven't done this, but it's a constant journey, so I'm sure that you can relate to this when I say that I really want to eat healthy, and I have made some progress with it, but I still haven't gotten to a point where I'm eating healthier 80% of the time and not healthy 20% of the time. And that's really what I want to get to is the 80-20 and eat not only healthy, but clean. Like I want to eat organic things. I don't want pesticides in my food and preservatives. And I just want to be healthy. So she prioritizes that and she has beautiful eating habits, meaning that she has room for growth, room for flow, room for balance. But for the most part, she eats very clean and very organic. And I think the more that I do eat cleaner and eat more organic and eat along those lines, the easier it is to do. But then when I get out of that habit, it's hard to not stay out of that habit. She loves herself unconditionally. See, I feel like I love myself, but the unconditional part is hard for me. And I feel like my family has a pattern of conditional love because of the religion I was raised in. I think it's very difficult for family members to see people leave the religion that they're in. And it's hard for them to love unconditionally when that happens because they think that someone in their life that they love has chosen a path that they do not agree with. But you should still love unconditionally no matter what. And I think that's been a challenge for some of my family members. So it's been a challenge for me as well. And it's been a challenge on both sides. I mean, it's hard for me to understand why my family members have beliefs that I don't agree with as well. It goes both ways, but we need to love unconditionally. And I mean that for myself too. I need to love my own family members unconditionally, even when our beliefs don't match up. And I think that it's not that I don't love my family members and it's not that they don't love me, but I think the unconditional part gets a little lost in translation sometimes. So I've noticed that more as I've learned how to love myself and learned that I have conditions on the love I have for myself. And if I'm not practicing perfectionism, I tend to not love myself as much. And that's not okay. I need to love myself even in my human moments, even when I make mistakes. I need to tell myself, hey, I love you. I still love you. And I still think you're wonderful. And it's okay that you made a mistake. So I need to say that to myself more. And I think a lot of us have generational trauma. I was actually talking with my mom about this, about how each generation hopefully gets better. But we've all got our trauma, And it's important to end patterns. And that's what I want to do, is I want to end some generational patterns that I've experienced. And that's what I mean when I talk about unconditional love and family. I always worry when I talk about family trauma or different, things that have happened in my family. I worry about offending family members, because I have had some family members that have listened to some episodes, and it makes me very nervous. I'm like, are they going to take it the wrong way? What are they going to think? But the truth of the matter is, we all have trauma, and we all don't react to situations at times the way that we want to, or the way that would be best. So it's just part of being human, and we have to accept that, and they have to accept that, just as I have to accept that I have my faults as well. And I hope that if anyone who is listening who is family hears this, I hope that they know that I love you so much. And I think there's some patterns that are unhealthy in our family, and there's some patterns that I would like to change, but that doesn't mean I love you any less. I've never loved my family members less, I don't feel like. I just think it's been difficult to comprehend what type of love and what type of relationship we have when there is such a difference in belief systems, especially when it comes to human rights, because that's not really something I compromise on. But I do think that's a little bit more of a private matter, so I won't speak too much on it. But I did want to speak on it a little bit, because I know a lot of people have family trauma, childhood trauma, different experiences with family members that make those relationships hard. So I did want to touch on it a little bit. Moving on. She is fiery, artistic, and wild. I think it was hard for me to differentiate between being wild and fiery versus being neurotic. And it's a line I'm still trying to find. But I do think that I can be fiery and wild and artistic and let myself be passionate and let that flow out of me without being neurotic and unhealthy. She is poised. A Mona Lisa smile. So the reason I wrote that down is because I feel like when you think of the Mona Lisa and you think of the Mona Lisa smile, it's mysterious, right? Like, she's holding secrets. Like, what does she know? I want to emanate that, because I am learning so much and growing so much spiritually, mentally, emotionally. And some of the things I'm learning, I am just like, I want to share. I have to share this. I have to share everything. But then, one, I don't always know the right way to share it. And two, there are some things that are not meant to be shared. And there's also some things that are meant to be shared, but maybe not right now. So I've always had a hard time knowing when to share and knowing when to not share. So that's what I mean when I say the Mona Lisa smile. She knows she's the luckiest girl in the world. Lucky girl syndrome. I don't feel like I have been able to practice that in a long time, in months and months, because I feel like I've just been so upset and hurt. And my uncle passing away this past year, it's actually gonna be the anniversary of his death on Saturday, which will have already passed by the time this episode goes up, but I'm still reeling from that. I don't even know if I've felt fully real since that happened. And it's been really hard to romanticize my life and practice lucky girl syndrome, because I've just felt like, well, what's the point, And I just found out another one of my family members passed away. And it's crazy. I'm just like, why is death everywhere right now? That's how it feels to me at the moment. So that's been a challenge for sure. But I know that I have so much control over my reality, and I know that I can achieve my dreams, and I do have a beautiful soul, even though it's hard to love myself sometimes. So I really want to get back to that point where I feel confident and where I feel like I deserve to have my dreams. Because I think when I'm in a place of self-doubt, I don't feel as deserving of what I want to manifest, which obviously, if you're trying to manifest something, and if you're not familiar with manifesting, that basically means believing something so much that you are able to bring it into your reality. I think I have a couple episodes on manifestation, so feel free to go look at those if you want more details. That's a very simplified version of it. But when I'm trying to manifest something, if I'm in a place where I am grumpy or gloomy, or I don't love myself as much, if I don't feel like I am deserving of those manifestations, why would they drop into my life? I'm not in the energy of attracting it into my life. So it's not going to drop in if I'm not in the energy of feeling like I deserve said thing. So I really need to work on loving myself and feeling like I am deserving of what I want. So I need to really go back to that. And I think it's hard to be humble and confident. I feel like sometimes those two can seem like they butt heads. But you can be humble and open-minded and open-hearted and confident and love yourself. It is possible. It's just hard to get there, for me at least. She is aligned. She finds joy in the journey, in the experiencing. Recently, I've been thinking about how there's so many things that I'm trying to bring into my life, so many things I'm trying to manifest. And I haven't found joy in the journey because I'm looking ahead so far. And not only am I looking ahead so far, but I'm also looking at what can go wrong. I'm also looking at the mistakes I could make or what could get in the way of me achieving that manifestation, rather than just being patient and flowing with the journey and knowing that I am pointed in the right direction and redirecting myself when I'm not, checking in and making sure I'm still going the right direction. But there's a difference between checking in and making sure I'm going the right direction and ruminating on what could go wrong. So I want to enjoy the journey to get there and be okay with not being there right now. Be okay with not having instant gratification and knowing that that's why I'm here. I want to have a human experience, and part of that is waiting. And part of that is experiencing and being with the moments along the way. She is a good listener. I want to listen and pause more versus interjecting how I feel just because I want to fill the space. I'm so nervous that if I'm silent, people are going to be judging me, or people are going to worry that I'm not invested in what they have to say. But it's okay to be silent. It's okay to sit with things and process. And it's even okay to say, I'm going to sit with that for a second and process it and before I respond. It's okay. It might feel awkward at first because that's not really what our society has been taught and what we've done so far, but it's okay and it's healthy to let yourself pause before filling the silence just to say something. I've noticed that about a lot about myself recently, that I sometimes just talk just to talk and I'm not really saying anything valuable. And it's not a good use of my time or my energy to speak about nothing. It's okay for me to pause. If there's nothing to say, there's nothing to say. I don't need to fill the space with words that don't matter. She has a strong energy shield, meaning that she doesn't take on energy that's not hers. She protects herself. She is empathetic, but strong in that she knows what's hers and knows what isn't hers, and she leaves it at the door. She doesn't take it on. She pays attention to the details. She knows her soul. She hugs trees. She listens to the wind. I love to touch flowers and touch trees because I feel like plants have such beautiful energy, and I love to connect with them in a respectful, obviously, way. But I want to stop and listen to the wind. I want to spend time with nature more. I don't want to rush by and not notice a beautiful bouquet of flowers because I'm too busy trying to get to my destination. She is a witch. I really want to fully embody that. I feel like I've been nervous to practice more witchcraft because I feel, I guess, not qualified, I worry about being judged because I'm inexperienced. But we all start somewhere. And I really want to be a witch. And I feel like before it was more, well, sometimes I'll do a spell here and there if it like makes sense to me, or I'll like read some oracle cards. And there was a time when I was so nervous about tarot even. I never even dreamed I'd get a pendulum. Now I have a pendulum. Now I read tarot. And I feel like I really want to step in. And if there's parts of witchcraft that I learn about that I don't want to participate in, then that's fine. I don't have to. But it's okay for me to say I'm a witch and want to step into that fully. It doesn't mean I'm joining a religion. I will never join a religion, most likely. But I can be part of a community and I can dabble in witchcraft without letting it overtake my whole life and be my whole identity. I'm a hairstylist and I'm a witch and I am a thoughtful person and I am so many things. It kind of reminds me of Inside Out 2. I don't know if you've seen Inside Out 2. If you haven't, this is kind of a spoiler a little bit. So scroll a little bit if you don't want to have a spoiler, I guess. But Riley has this object in her brain that the emotions are dealing with, that is her sense of self. And her sense of self gets a little warped. And at one point it's where it's like, I am a good person, I am a good friend, things like that. But then anxiety comes in and her sense of self starts to get warped. She starts to have feelings like, I don't know what I'm doing, or I'm not a good friend, things like that. I don't remember exactly what is said, but basically her sense of self gets a little warped and she's not sure who she is at one point. And I think that happens. I think that that's normal. But we are so many things, is my point. Like, not only is Riley a good person, but she's a good friend. And at the end, it basically, her sense of self is shifted. And it's something like, sometimes I make mistakes, but I'm still a good friend. Sometimes I do this, but I'm still this, like it becomes that she's coexisting with the anxiety, and she realizes that she's still a good person even if she's experiencing these things. And she doesn't have to be one thing. She is many things. You'll have to watch it to get a better understanding of what I'm talking about, because I don't feel like I'm explaining it very well. But my point is, we are so much more than just one thing. So I think I felt like I couldn't say I was a witch or that I practiced witchcraft because I felt not qualified, or like I needed to be more knowledgeable and I needed to know everything about it before claiming it. While I don't need to know everything about it, I can know as much as I can and do the best I can. And it doesn't have to be my whole identity. I'm so many things. if you're on video, you're going to see me be on my phone for a second because I need to pick Brayden up from work really quick and I need to see when I have to leave because I need to leave pretty soon. But I wanted to get through this whole episode and not like leave because I feel like it always doesn't sorry. I feel like it doesn't always it's not always smooth when I leave and then come back to the podcast later. So anyway, we're going to get through these really quick. I'm almost done. She isn't attached to her phone, but she loves to capture memories, especially on her camera. I have been so annoyed with my phone lately because I have to be on it so much more because I own my own business. I'm a hairstylist. I have a studio salon suite, which, by the way, if you're listening and you live in Orlando, come get your hair done because I would love to meet you. I'd love to do your hair. If you listen to the podcast and you want your hair done, oh my God, we will have the most... Shoot, my camera just did something. Hold on. Sorry about that. I had to delete some stuff on my SD card because my storage is full, like it is on everything. My storage is always full. One thing about me, yeah, my storage is always full. So anyway, sorry about that pause. What was I saying? Oh yeah, I don't want to be on my phone as much because I just feel like so many of us live in our phones, and me included. I live in my phone all the time, and I would like to not live in my phone as much. But as a business owner, it's hard because I need to respond to messages. I need to respond to people who want their hair done. And people are very trigger happy, meaning that they will leave very fast and choose someone else if you do not respond right away, which is so stressful and so overwhelming because like I've literally not responded to a message for a few hours and then had them be like, I went somewhere else. And I'm like, it was a few hours. Like, what? But I need to be okay with that. Like sometimes that's going to happen and I can have time off my phone still and it's okay. So I've been trying to spend 30 minutes with my phone completely turned off, not on do not disturb because I still go look at it all the time, completely turned off for 30 minutes a day. So that's been a new goal of mine that I've been trying to do. And it's been really nice because I'm like 30 minutes is not a big deal. That's not that much time. And maybe I'll make it more in the future, but I just feel like that's more realistic where like I do social media and I do hair social media and social media for the podcast and for my personal accounts. So TikTok, Instagram, oh my gosh, I've got it all. I'm actually going to link all my socials below and I will even link my hair stuff. Maybe I'll link my hair stuff for all the episodes just in case there's anyone that's an Orlando local that wants to get their hair done. I want the information to be accessible. So I'm just going to link it all. So you can go check out any of it. Or even if you're not an Orlando local, but you just kind of want to see what I do and the hair I do, then go check it out. I would love to have your support on my hair accounts. But I want to take more pictures on my camera versus my phone because I think that would just be more in the moment because I'm always worried about taking pictures. But then if I take a picture on my phone, I'm distracted by other things on my phone. Sorry, excuse me. So I would like to not be as distracted and I would like to be in the moment, be here now. Be in my life, be in every experience. And I feel like my phone takes me out of experiences. So that's why I would like to do more on my camera. And it's so easy to like transfer photos from my camera to my phone. It's so easy to do that. And I always forget that it's so easy. So I can do that and I can still post on my Instagram story. I think it's hard when like with Instagram stories, I want people to come along with me for my adventures and I want to post as it happens. But I don't feel like it's that big of a deal. I can post the whole day at night after the day happens or in a lull in the day if I want, and that's perfectly fine. And nobody said that there's specific rules we have to follow. It's just we all do what we can, and we all are unique in our own way and how we approach social media, so it's okay for me to approach it that way. I'm running out of time, and this is getting really long too, so that's also why I just wanted to like end it by the time I needed to pick him up. She stands up for herself without feeling guilty. That one's so hard. I just sent an email yesterday that was really hard for me to send, but I knew I had to stick up for myself and I did it. So please be proud of me. She is open to new perspectives and ideas. Goes back to the being humble, but also confident thing. She doesn't ruminate. She lets go and flows. Super, super hard concept for me to accept and follow. She is compassionate and gentle, which we talked about earlier. And she attracts the most beautiful souls. I really want to focus on attracting people who need the podcast, people who vibe with me, who want their hair done. I want my dream clients who want the type of services that I love doing and that I'm skilled at. And maybe some services that I don't have as much experience with, but people that are willing to let me practice or learn. And I really want to attract basically my dream clients, people that I can have a really beautiful conversation with, souls that I can really connect with on a deeper level, but also that want the type of services that I want to create and that vibe with me as far as hair goes. You know, sometimes clients and hairstylists, there's good fits and there's bad fits. And sometimes you get a client who isn't really a good fit for you. So I want to attract my dream clients and I want to attract my dream audience to the podcast. I want people to find this that really need it or really want it in their life. I want people to find me as a hairstylist that could really use me as a hairstylist in their life and really need that. I feel like there's someone out there for everyone as far as hairstylists go, as far as podcasts go. I feel like we all find our different niches, I guess. And I want to attract people that want to hear about this stuff with hair and with the podcast. I want kind of a similar audience with the podcast as I have clientele, because I really want my podcast to reach some of my clients as well. I want them to kind of coexist together. I want the podcast and the hair to be, not that you have to be a client to listen to the podcast and not that you have to be a podcast listener to be a client, but just the same type of people I'm trying to attract with both. Beautiful souls that are just aligned with my soul. And it doesn't necessarily mean we have to have the same belief systems, but I think you know what I mean. Some people vibe with each other and some people don't. So I really want to focus on attracting that type of crowd for the podcast and for my hair business. The podcast is called Making Life Art. My hair business is called Making Hair Art. It all circles around. It all has the same themes, the same concepts. So I'm really excited to kind of merge them a little bit more than I have. I've kept them very separate and I really want them to not feel so separate anymore. I want people to know, oh yeah, she's a podcaster that I listen to, but yeah, she does hair too. Or yeah, she's a hairstylist, but she also has a podcast. I want that to kind of be a part of what people think when they think about me. So yeah, that's my list. I got through it all. Yay! And I really think that list really encapsulates feeding my soul, feeding your soul. I feel like that is really helpful when you are trying to be in alignment, is creating a list of who you want to be and who you want people to see you as. And I think, obviously don't change yourself for society. Don't change yourself for what someone else thinks or just to fit in. But if you want to be a better person and you know that it is within you to be more patient, to be more compassionate, these are things that we can change about ourselves. It's not like I'm saying, oh, I want to not have moles on my face anymore. Like I love the moles that I have on my face. I love the things about myself. I have ADHD. I even have learned to love that about myself. I love that I'm a little neurospicy. I love that I have so many ideas and so many thoughts. Sometimes it gets overwhelming. Sometimes it's not always the healthiest, but I also think it's something really beautiful about myself. So that's not something I want to change. That's part of who I am. But there are certain things that I do want to change that I can change, such as being a better listener. So that's what I mean when I say reinvent yourself and write a list of who your higher self is. So this is going to be a really exciting season, and please, please, please stay tuned for the next episode, which will be it'll be not this next week, or not next Sunday, but the Sunday after is when that should go up. So please listen, because I have my sibling on, who is an independent artist, and they are an amazing individual with so many facets. Like, they're so deep, they have so much valuable information to share. So yeah, you're not going to want to miss it. If you liked what you heard, please leave a rating and review, because it helps the podcast so much, and it helps me so much to know that people are listening and that people enjoy it. And feel free to shoot me a DM anytime to let me know what you thought. And yeah, I'll see you in a couple weeks. Bye. Almost forgot about you. Thanks for watching. Bye.